Welcome back to Hong Kong Direct. We're looking ahead to the $10 million Classic Cup this weekend. Next second leg of the 4-year-old series, just a month away from the Derby. Let's have a look at some of the runners lining up this weekend.
Been the gold standard so far, and Golden 60 stretches his record even further. He's a terrific 4-year-old.
More than this, charging through late, Enrichment and Precious Ship. What a grandstand finale. It's more than this to win.
Beauty Legacy charging up the rail. He's out and after them now. Up the inside, you could have driven a double-decker bus through there, and Marrera gets him home.
Champions Way's got his head in front, wins it.
Private Secretary up the inside. This has been a bold run first up from the import, and Private Secretary.
Special guest still with us, champion jockey Zach Purton and Trenton Akers from the South China Morning Posts. The 10 runners heading to Post this weekend for the Hong Kong Classic Cup. 1,800 metres, of course, the trip. Golden 60, Classic Mile winner Vincent Ho, Francis Loy. The other Loy runner is More Than This, will be ridden this weekend by Zach Purton, with Ryan Moore switching to Champions Way. Beauty Legacy, who finished 4th in the Classic Mile. John Size, John Marrera. Private Secretary, a good winner first up at Happy Valley, a little bit disappointing on his second start. Player de Puente, possibly our pace angle, enjoying. John Moresby making some very positive noises about him. Hugh Bowman riding in to ride, some excuses on his last 2 starts. Reliable Team, Grant Vanderkirk in the saddle there. Savvy Niner down to World Famous, who's a tough win in a handicap company last time out, beating Zemble. All right, well, Zach, probably start the best place, I suppose, is with the Classic Mile. It's the main form race coming in. Now, you rode Star Performance in this race, but switched to More Than This. What was your overall assessment of the race?
Oh, I think the best 2 horses finished 1-2, really. Golden 60 is very solid. He doesn't do anything wrong. He's got tactical speed. He puts himself in the right spot. He's got a really good turn of foot. When he lets down from the 400 to the 200, nothing can stay with him. And then he just seems to coast to the line, or if he's got a little bit extra to do, he pins his ears back and he makes sure he gets the job done. My bloke was on his tail, just had to wait for him to sprint, was left flat-footed, but finished it off really nicely. I thought it was a solid effort. So, you know, you'd expect those 2 horses to be main contenders again.
More Than This must have come past you though in a bit of a hurry when he quickened though.
Especially when I was going backwards.
There has been a little bit of a cloud over Golden 60 though since that win, Trenton, a fever, a temperature. I mean, he lines up front. We'll hear from Vincent Ho very shortly, but it's hardly ideal, is it?
Well, that's the thing, yeah. You couldn't say he's had the best preparation going in, and you're kind of getting different signs coming out of the camp as well. Francis says he's cherry ripe and ready to go, and Vincent seems to be not so sure on the whole situation. So there's got to be a question mark over Golden 60. As good as he is, he could come out and brain him still, you don't know. But yeah, it's definitely a question mark.
Champions Way, you can't write him off completely, Zach. Last season, he looked like he was clearly going to be the one to beat, but that was a year ago. And Beauty Legacy, he's only had a couple of starts to gauge him on as well, so they're still big players. It's
an interesting race, and I think the biggest worry for myself, Beauty Legacy, and enjoying in this race is the lack of speed, really. When you get a small field, it takes the pressure out of the race, and more so when all the pace runners draw inside, draw low, they'll just jump out and comfortably get their positions, and the horses drawn wide, they're going to have to drag back to get in. It's not a recipe for success for a horse like mine. So I'm going to need someone at some stage to put some speed or some pressure into the race.
And he was very slow out of the gates More Than This, wasn't he? Ryan was really working at him in the early stage.
I can't work it out because I've ridden him in 2 barrier trials recently. One at Happy Valley where I sat outside the leader, and one here at Sha Tin after that running the mile. He came back to a 1,200 metre barrier trial and he just jumped out and wanted to run. So I don't know whether he gets to race day and it's the afternoon and he just lays back in the sun a little bit more and gets a bit more relaxed. But I'm going to have to see how he is on race day. But he has begun well the 2 times I've ridden him recently.
All right, okay. Well, before we get into the rest of the runners, let's hear from Vincent Ho. He'll be riding Golden 60 and his thoughts coming into the race.
Amazing horse, you know. one of the best horses I've ridden. And unfortunately, he got some issue earlier, and is still on the progress of recovering. He's getting his fitness back. I don't think he's at his top at the moment, but you know, he's coming back gradually, and I worked him on the grass, and this morning on the dirt, he still felt okay.
Okay, good news there. Touching on that last start, when he was a little keen in the early stages, how did you get him to come back underneath you?
It's, you know, it's always a bit hot, and he can be keen for sure, even in 1200. But once he got cover, he settled well, and especially at a turn, he usually settled very well. You know, 1800 this time, you know, from barrier 7, which is pretty good. You know, you just need him to relax behind horses, and you know, he'll have a good turn of foot.
Well, there you go. There's Vincent on Golden Seek. Be interested to see what the market does, reacts to that, whether it sends him off favourite or not. But he is quite a laid-back character, Vincent. But he's definitely sort of, you know, he's got concerns coming into the weekend.
And rightly so.
Yeah.
You never want to have a horse have a virus so close to a race, or whatever he had. His bloods were obviously off, and he's been a little bit down. It can take more out of them than what you think. They can still work well, but it's under race pressure when you have to ask them for the maximum effort that you find out if they're okay or not.
Yeah, Golden 60 supporters might be rubbing their hands to get some sort of price, and he could still absolutely brain them again. But what of the others, Trent? Are we looking at the top 4? Are they the big 4? Is there something that could surprise outside of them? It
does look like that way. This race is famous for upsets. We saw
last year.
Yeah, Mission Tycoon at any old price, and it'd be interesting to see if there's anything to the 1800 metre start. Do you think that causes that, or?
Yeah, I think what happens, because it's such a long run down the back straight, and like I touched on in this race, there's a likelihood of those horses drawn inside just being able to fall out of the gates because they're not going to be under any pressure, and just be allowed to roll like time warp, to slowly roll through the first part of the race and get it very easy, and the main contenders are going to be back in the field, and then they sprint home.
Yeah.
You know, it could cause the upset.
Yeah.
It's there. The writing's on the wall for it to happen.
All right. We had a big upset, like you mentioned, last year, Trenton. But do you see an upset this year?
Oh, not so much an upset of sorts. I thought Champions Way would probably definitely run another big race. He's probably going to be pretty handy to the speed, and might kind of take the pace factor out of it, out of the equation. So I thought he'd be a nice bet. Yeah.
You're excited and obviously happy with your mount as well, Zach?
Yeah, I'm very excited to be on him. I like what I feel. I like what I see. I don't like the makeup of this race, but going forward, I think he's the right horse to be on.
All right, that's more than this then for Zach and Champions Way. I'm with Zach on this one, more than this. Trenton with Champions Way. As far as the diary's concerned, looking forward to this weekend. We've got the Classic Cup, Happy Valley next Wednesday, 9 races at Happy Valley. And of course, we're looking further down the track, March 22nd for the big one itself. That is the Derby. Looking forward to that. So we're just about out of time. We're going to finish this week with a Derby from 2015. That was Luger. Zach, you were on board for John's size. And it was a pickup ride, wasn't it, for you as well?
It was a late pickup ride, yeah. Douglas White had been riding 2 horses all the way through, and he elected to ride another horse.
Giant Treasure, I think, yeah.
I hadn't committed to anything. There I was, yeah.
It was just very quickly on the ride itself, because Darren Flindell, through the call, said something like, Luger, he's going to have to be good to win under these circumstances, because you're drawn wide and just let him roll, but he is and was very good.
Oh, I couldn't get in. I was 3 wide, no cover. It wasn't the best ride. I've had plenty of rides in the Derby where I've ridden a lot better races than that one, but I was a victim of circumstances. Sometimes you just can't get in. It's just the way it is. And I just got him into a nice rhythm, and he was moving well, he was breathing well. He come into it with a little bit of confidence, but you still have to have the horse to be able to do it. He showed on the day he was clearly the best horse in the race, and I'm glad I was given that opportunity. All
right, well, that's brilliant. We'll look back on it now. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Trenton, as well. So here it is, Luger, the 2015 Derby for John Sides and Zach Purton. Hopefully we'll catch you again on the weekend for the Classic Cup. We'll bring all the action from Hong Kong direct to you.
Luger, he'll have to be good to win the Derby under these circumstances. Then Thunder Fantasy from further back to Giant Treasure, getting to the outside. Redkirk Warrior, he's 3 back over on the fence.
Gun Pit off the course from Beauty Only. Got Fly getting shuffled back from Anticipation. Then Romantic Touch, Helene Happy Star, and Golden Sleeper still bar last as they level around the corner now. Zoomion goes for the whip on Obliterator. Contentment sticks on. Luger keeps coming. So does Giant Treasure on the outside. Got Flyers squeezing into the clear, and then Beauty Only as Luger races to the lead from Giant Treasure. Got Fly, and further back to the inside is Romantic Touch. It's Luger in front in the Derby. Romantic Touch and Got Fly giving chase. Luger just in front. Purton relentless here, and he gets Luger home in the